Hi, I'm Anna from the Sewing Studio and I've got the lovely Hannah from Bernina with me.
Hi, good morning.
Hi, and in this video we're going to talk you through some of the many advantages that you get when buying a Bernina machine. Now, Bernina are renowned for being a Swiss brand, aren't they?
Yes, they are. All the Bernina machines are Swiss engineered, and I think when you think about a Swiss product, you think of quality, and that's really what you get when you buy a Bernina. But the first thing I wanted to talk about is the strong metal chassis that you get inside a Bernina. Now, these are beautifully engineered machines, and because they have that strong metal chassis, it makes them really stable. And because they're really stable, you get less vibrations and you get less skipped stitches, and it really gives it that lovely quality feel, you know, really strong, stable feel when you're sewing on one.
Now, you talk about quality. Obviously, that's backed up with a 7-year warranty with Bernina, but I think you can really see that when you look at the Bernina hook.
Yeah, definitely. So the other main feature, the heart of the machine, is the hook. So this is the hook on a Bernina. As you can see, it's one solid piece of metal that's milled into this shape, and then each of the hooks are hand polished. So this is really the part of the machine that creates the stitch, and that's why it's so important. Now, if you just want to feel the weight of that, I mean, if you compare that to, say, a plastic bobbin case, you can really tell the difference. It's such a lovely quality part.
Yeah.
And because we have that quality, you get really beautifully formed stitches. I was just going to say that Bernina have developed this hook system, and that the only major manufacturer of sewing machines to develop a new hook system in the last 40 years. So they're always really developing and fine-tuning the product.
Yeah. And the bobbin is an extra large bobbin?
Yeah, well, we love the extra large bobbins because there is nothing more annoying, is there, than running out of thread.
True.
And with the Berninas, you get the extra large Bernina bobbins, and they have 70% more thread than a standard bobbin. So, you know, when you're working on that large project, that large quilt, you don't want to be getting, you know, halfway through and suddenly you're running out of thread, because, as we say, it's really annoying. But not with the Bernina bobbin. There's certainly less changing of it.
Yeah. So can we talk a bit about the precision that you get with a Bernina machine?
Yes, definitely. I think Berninas are really renowned for being really precise. And one of the things that makes them so precise are the multifunctional dials, which we have here. Now, with these dials, you can change your needle position 50 places to the left and 50 places to the right. So that means you can really fine-tune a stitch. And with all the stitches, so there is a default, so you can just choose a stitch and start to sew if you want. But everything you can really edit. So I can change the width, the length, the tension. You know, I've got that level of control, which I think is brilliant. And also, we've got 11 different needle positions, so you can always get your fabric and your foot in just the right place.
Yeah. And talking about fabric, a lot of things that people ask me a lot of the time is like, you know, will a machine cope with a thicker type of fabric, a finer type of fabric? These all have DC motors?
Yep, it has the DC motors, which is a very strong motor, so it's a direct current motor.
Yeah.
And what that means is you get a consistent level of power no matter what you're sewing on. So you could sew on something very fine, or you could sew on something really thick, and it just powers through, it just flows through, which I love. And because we've got that strong DC motor, what it means is I can sew at 1 stitch at a time, or I could sew at 1,000 stitches at a time. And that makes a huge difference. If I'm working on a quilt or a garment, and you get to the end of the row and you just want to do one more stitch, I can put my foot on that foot pedal and it will do one more stitch. It's not going to run away. So I've got that lovely control, and I'm confident that, you know, I can get the machine to do exactly what I want, which is brilliant.
Now, when I'm sat at a Bernina, one thing that I really notice is how in control it is of the fabric. So talk us through that.
Yeah, on the Bernina we have really brilliant feed dogs, and they really help the smooth flow of fabric when it passes through the machine. Now, what happens is the lovely fully shanked Bernina presser feet press down on the feed dogs, and the feed dogs come up, over and down, and they hold that fabric all the way through the process for the entire formation of the stitch, and this is called the box feed system. Now, because it's constantly supporting your fabric as the stitch is formed, it doesn't push or pull, and it keeps the fabric nice and stable. So that's why you get such a lovely smooth flow and such a great stitch. And I find that when I'm working on a Bernina, you know, I just need to guide, because the feed dogs do such a great job. I don't need to help them along. I just guide it and the fabric will flow through. And I think that makes a huge difference.
Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely gives it that Bernina feel that you know, when you use one.
Yeah, and it copes so well with the heavier fabrics.
Yeah, it does. Now, that's because it has a function called hammer mode. And what that means is when the needle reaches really thick, heavy fabric, it actually pulsates and vibrates, and that powers it through the thick fabrics, which makes sewing really, really, you know, heavy fabrics, like if you're doing some curtains or maybe bag making, you know, when you come up to those really thick layers, it just will cut right through it, and you can sew 30 plus layers of fabric. It's really amazing. So yeah, anyone who wants to work with really heavy fabrics, a Bernina, in conjunction with its really strong motor, will really go through those layers. So I think that makes a big difference.
For sure. All Bernina machines are front loading, so tell us why that's important.
Okay, that's important because the hook to needle clearance, which is what is forming the stitch on a Bernina, is, as with everything on a Bernina, is very precise. Now that measurement is 0.05 millimetres, so we're talking like the thickness of a sheet of paper. And because we have those very precise measurements, it means that you can sew on really fine fabric, your silks, organzas, or you can go for something really, really thick, and you're always going to get a really nice stitch. I think Bernina's also are particularly good if you're doing something like free motion embroidery or quilting. The way the thread feeds off the hook and the stitches are formed, you get really, really lovely results. So it's definitely much more accurate than if you had a drop-in bobbin case. So it does make a big difference.
It's clear that, you know, one of Bernina's main focuses is quality and precision.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, these machines are really, really built to last. And I think, you know, we've mentioned the 7-year warranty before. You know, people enjoy their Berninas for many, many years. And I think because then you're going to have it for a long time, you know, to a certain extent they're environmentally quite friendly because you're not chopping and changing. You've got one solid product that you can really love and grow into and use for a long time. So I think the Swiss quality, you know, really does make a big difference. And people do really love their Berninas. You know, they get.
I just want to go and sew.
I know, they get really, really attached to them, and I think that's lovely. So yeah.
And finally, I know that Bernina believe that education and support are absolutely key to their success.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you can sort of split it down into two levels. We've got the machine. The machines are so helpful. I mean, we've got the wonderful touch screens, which I think are really clear and easy to use. And on those screens, we have a section called tutorials. So basically, it's a built-in manual, and there's lots of like videos and information in tutorials. But we also have creative consultant. Now that's really good if you're tackling a new project, you've got material you might not have used, technique you might not have used. You tell it what material and technique you're going to do, and it really sets it up for you. You know, it will tell you what stitch, it will move needle positions, all that kind of thing. So that's really, really helpful. They have a wonderful manual. I know not everyone loves to read their manual, but the manuals are great. So if you ever needed help, there's the manual. So useful.
Yeah, I also have a lot of customers tell me about the day's tuition that Bernina offer, how much fun it is, how much they learn.
Yeah, definitely. So we have a tuition centre in London, and people are welcome to come and do some training there. And yeah, as you say, it is a really fun day out because, you know, they're small classes, friendly tutors. And it's just nice for people to meet other people with the same machines as they have, and they can discuss how they're getting on with them. And it's, you know, it's really quite a creative day. You know, I think customers really enjoy it. But of course, they've got that support from their wonderful Bernina stockists.
That's right. Don't forget, we're here for anything that you might need, any support, any advice. Thank you for taking us through the advantages today.
You're welcome. It's been really good fun. Thank you.
Hope you've learnt something, and I'll see you again soon.